So we all know, unless you've been living under a rock, that our economy has been facing some significant changes recently. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about, the current state of the economy and what the feds may be planning and how that will affect you, especially if you are planning to buy a home. It is so critical to know and keep up with the current economic conditions so we can make well-informed decisions. Hey guys, my name is Shanza and you're watching the Life in Dallas channel where we talk about all things living in the Dallas metro. I am a real estate agent here, so you can most definitely reach out to me with all your buying and selling needs, or if you guys need any advice or just need to chat about certain areas, I will be more than happy to help. All my contacts will be down in the description box below. Now, our economy has been in a downturn for some time now. And, before we dive into the local housing market here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, let's look at the overall economic conditions. The economy is facing really high inflation and just some significant changes have been happening over a couple of months now. So it's important to understand, what is the state of our economy and what is going to happen in the future, okay? Now, starting off, if you aren't aware, inflation is the main reason why we are seeing a major slowdown in our economy. The feds are trying to get inflation to their target 2% area, while now it's at 6%, the recent numbers in February. And it has been falling since June of last year from around 9.1%. Now, there are actually two primary measures of inflation. One is called the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, and that includes food and energy prices, which can be subject to significant fluctuations, due to like supply and demand, geopolitical tensions, weather, etc. And this data is collected directly from consumers, okay? On the other hand, you have the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, dang, that was a mouthful, which tracks the changes of prices of goods and services that consumers actually purchase, excluding volatile food and energy prices that are in the CPI. And this data is from businesses specifically. And the feds believe that the PCE index provides a more accurate and more comprehensive measure of inflation rather than CPI, even though they still take the CPI data and, make decisions with that as well. CPI inflation went from 6.5 in December to 6.4 in January. The most recent report in February showed that CPI inflation was actually back down to 6%, and it fell slightly faster than the pace that it did around the December-January timeframe, which is good, okay? That's good news. While it seemed like the CPI, was still falling, even though it barely fell, on the other hand, the PCE rose. It was from 5.3% in December to 5.4% in January. Now, as of right now, the 30-year fixed is at 6.5 and the current federal funds rate is at 4.7. Now, they're anticipating that the federal funds rate to go up to 5.2, 5.5 as kind of like the top, but they can revise this at any time and say, oh, we're going to do 6%. What does that mean for the 30-year fixed? That it can go well above 8%. And there can be an instance where they raise the federal funds rate, but mortgage rates drop in return. That doesn't mean that the federal funds rate directly correlates to a 30-year mortgage, but it does play an impact. Looking at the jobs report that came out in February, the economy added 311,000 jobs, and that's well above what economists had predicted, which was to gain around 225,000 jobs. Now, you may think this is good news, but you're wrong, because that's bad news to the feds. They're trying to bring up unemployment, not bring it down. The feds will continue to raise interest rates and keep rates higher for a longer time, to soften the labor market. They're actually expecting 2 million Americans to lose the job. Yeah, 2 million Americans to say, hey, this is for the greater good of the economy. It's always the ordinary, hardworking American that has to pay the price. So as our economy contracts, we can expect more blood in the financial markets. In my opinion, I believe that it's going to be more difficult to bring down inflation. Yeah, it might come down, but I feel like it won't come down at a really fast pace like it was before. Sometimes people are saying, oh, are we in a recession? Are we not? But really, we don't know if we're in a recession, because it takes about 8 to 12 months or so for them to actually decide what periods we were in a recession. So the National Bureau of Economic Research officially declares the start and ends of U.S. recessions. So we won't really find out what periods we were in a recession until months and months later when probably we're already out of a recession, okay? And I honestly believe that the way things are looking right now, the worst is yet to come. You just have to keep an eye on the economy, keep an eye on the feds and what the financial markets are doing. And we can continue to see contractions in our economy. With the failure of Silicon Valley Bank, along with Signature Bank and others that are on the verge of failing, we could see more of this happening, especially with some of the smaller banks, but they're not technically small, but they're small because they don't hold trillions of dollars, unlike JP Morgan, Bank of America. I don't think those will really fail, but some of the other banks will, and a lot of people are taking their money from the smaller banks and putting them in the bigger banks for more security. With these bank failures, people are starting to kind of realize, even though it didn't affect them directly, they're starting to realize like, hey, our money is not really safe in the bank. So they're starting to buy other assets, whether it be hard assets or paper assets. So, it's always good to diversify your portfolio. So speaking of the recent bank closures, we actually saw mortgage rates drop amid bank closures, which in return, we saw an increase in mortgage applications. So all it takes is for rates to go down a little bit for the demand to pick right back up. And that is why the feds cannot pivot early. They're just people, sitting on the fence, waiting to jump in at any given moment. And it will be an interesting year for us. I know that. I would like to see how the feds bring down inflation to around their target areas of 2% without causing a recession or a major collapse in our economy and financial markets. Because frankly, they're kind of in a weird position right now where if they stop cutting rates and pivot too early, inflation will go right back up and it will defeat the whole purpose of them even raising those rates. Now, we don't know how long that this downturn will even be. For 6 months, end of 2023, beginning of 2024, we don't know. And that's why it's important to follow along with what is currently happening in our markets. That way we can make well-informed decisions, and this does affect you if you are a home buyer. Speaking of homes, now that you got a gist of what's kind of happening in our economy, let's look at our local housing market. Yes, look at our local data here for the entire MLS. The top of the market was around, the May-June area, June-July area, with the median home value here at $400,000. It fell to $352,000 in January, and that was a 12.7% drop. That's a significant drop. Understand that 5%, 6%, 8% drops are actually kind of normal when it comes to this season, because typically after, the summer season, home prices fall kind of until like spring season starts, when the median home values start to go up again. So we also have to pay attention to seasonality as well. So like I said, that was a 12.7% drop. To February, we actually rose 2.5%. So definitely jumped up when rates fell back down to the mid fives. Now, if we look at some of the major counties here in the DFW, you can see the year-over-year change here on the right side. Okay, they're barely surviving, you guys. We have Denton and Tarrant County with negative year-over-year growth, and then we have Collin County still up 2.3%, and Dallas County, barely staying afloat at 0.9%. But it's no doubt that, the different cities and counties, are acting differently. Some are taking worse hits than others. Some are starting to recover. Some are still free falling. But overall, this is a good thing because it shows that we are coming back to maybe a more normal type of market where we don't have these highly inflated prices that, so many people cannot afford. But, the months of supply for all these counties is less than 2 months. That is something that's very important to note because, this has been dropping since October of 2022. On the whole MLS, we have less than 3 months of supply. Now, typically, listing starts to pick back up around the springtime, but, with our current state of the economy, we can expect a much slower year compared to the last 2 years. To have a balanced market where supply and demand meet and doesn't favor one party over the other, we need to have 6 months of supply. So if we're not having all the supply, then I don't know how the big crash is going to happen. We know that the rise and fall of interest rates directly affect the housing market. Last month or so, you guys, the rates were in the mid fives and buyers were flooding in and homes were receiving multiple offers again, and offers above asking. And I'm not talking about $50,000 above asking, maybe like $5,000 to $15,000 above asking if there's other offers. But, the fact is the frenzy was starting again. And that kind of proved to me that we have the demand. Pending home sales went up, and it was just kind of like a little boom that we had here. And homes even in the little towns that not a lot of people go to, we're still having multiple offers. In Wiley, I live in Wiley. There was a home listed like about a month or so so ago. This home was listed slightly below market value. It had over 30 offers, you guys, within like 5 days. That is absolutely insane to me. So when people say like, oh, I can't wait for discounted prices, well, guess what? So can't a million other people out here, okay? They're ready to pounce on the opportunity when they see that home. And I just want to have that realistic expectation with you, because there's so many people that have an unrealistic expectation and they think that the DFW is just going to go crashing and dying. I'm not saying that it's not. Well, actually, I am saying that it's not going to come crashing and dying, but obviously, we're in a correction right now, but who knows that this correction may last a couple more months, like 3 more months. It may last maybe over 6 months in certain cities. In some cities, you know, it's starting to pick right back up. So you have to take those things into consideration and not kind of generalize your idea of the housing market just based off a national level. You need to look at your local economy, local housing market as well, okay? That's very important. Now, we're in a weird phase right now where 82% of the homeowners in Texas have rates below 5%, and a chunk of those have rates below 3%. So they won't be moving anytime soon unless they absolutely have to, or they'll probably turn that into cash flowing rentals if they don't have to sell the property to buy another one. Now that there's more awareness in real estate investing and people are starting to really realize that real estate is, you know, one of the best assets that you can invest in. And then we have simply people that just cannot afford a home at these prices. You know, home affordability is just another chapter in and of itself. And the rate of appreciation is far, far outpacing the median household salary growth, which means that it will be even more difficult for the next generation to afford housing than it is for this generation. And you already know how hard it is to afford a home in this generation. Not many homes are selling, but guess what? Not that many homes on the market to even sell right now. People are just waiting on the sidelines, waiting for that house to come on the market, waiting for the economic conditions to get better before they buy. You know, with this shortage of homes, this is going to help prices to not fall as much than, say, a market with like over 4 or 5 months of supply. You know, so with that being said, I don't believe that the Dallas-Fort Worth area will take any major hits compared to some of the other metros and some of the other cities, because we just have such a diverse economy. You know, we're continuously hiring people. The job market is booming. The fact that commercial investors rank Dallas-Fort Worth as the top commercial market both in 2022, and they're saying that it will be top commercial market in 2023 as well. It has a low unemployment rate, growing population, which really secures the demand for housing here. And that will be a cushion for us during the downturn of the economy. You know, we're in a tough position, and let's see how the feds pull us out of here. I don't think that we're going to have a soft landing. I literally have some clients that do not want to purchase right now. They're just saving some more and really kind of, you know, prioritizing and organizing their finances. And then we have another group of my clients which are just ready to buy. They don't really care about the rates or anything. They just have to move. So it really depends on your personal situation. You know, for, like I said, for some people, it's not a good time to buy right now. But for well-leveraged individuals that are not just waiting for the perfect economic conditions to go, they're just, you know, if they can afford the home and it meets their needs or a majority of their needs, then they're willing to go through with the purchase, and they can always refinance. And honestly, speaking of the interest rates, I do believe that, you know, once this is all over and done with, the rates will probably be back around the 5%. Definitely the real estate activity has slowed down here, but I'll tell you this, you guys, I don't think the prices are going to fall that much, because I see how much demand it is for these homes that are listed below market value. There's a lot of demand for them. So, hey, you know, who knows what's going to happen? What we could do is just hope for the best and, you know, plan accordingly. That's why you want to pay attention to what is happening. So for some of these cities, hey, the prices could drop a little bit more. For some of these cities, you know, they could go back up now and kind of stay steady. But hey, if you guys are looking to make a move, you know, or buy or sell, you need some advice or you need an agent, then make sure to contact me. All my contacts will be down in the description box below, and I will be more than happy to assist. And remember to check out some of my other videos where I go around the Dallas-Fort Worth suburbs. Make sure to hit the like and hit the subscribe for more content like this. It really helps me out. And, you know, by the way, if you were my loyal followers, or if you are my loyal followers, I'm sorry that I've been MIA recently. I've really just been regrouping and, you know, going through like a mental cleanse or something. And, you know, I'm back and I'm better than ever. Okay, I'll be posting every single week. And if I don't post, someone needs to hold me accountable. Make sure to leave suggestions in the comments too about what type of content you guys would want to see from me. Okay, so with that being said, I will see you guys in my next video.